Hello, I'm Linda Seif from The Layered Onion. Thank you for joining us. We will be listening to our amazing creators talk about their art and mental health. 48 million artists all over the world share this lived experience. The Layered Onion was formed to create a supportive community, allowing the creators to focus on their art, bringing their work from the shadows to receive the recognition and opportunities they deserve. Each podcast will feature an artist who talks about their creations and mental wellness. Art is healing. We hope these discussions will inspire you to appreciate the stories behind the creations and, more importantly, inspire your inner creator. Together, we can tackle the stigma surrounding mental health. So, hello, Kim. Welcome to the Layered Onion podcast. I'm very excited to have you here. You were in the latest Shallot, and
Yes.
So we'll talk about that, but maybe you could introduce yourself to our audience and talk about all the different forms of creativity, because we can see a lot behind you on the wall.
Sure. Well, thank you for having me, and thank you for publishing me in the Shallot. I really enjoyed working with you, and I really like the publication and what you're doing. I think it's really, really important. As far as the type of work that I do, I'm mainly an oil painter, and I also do photography for my oil paintings. So I hire a model and I set up the model and photograph them, and then I do editing in Photoshop, and then I use those images to inform my paintings. I've been experimenting in some charcoal drawings, which I really enjoy. They're really free and loose. The main subjects of my work is either people or animals, mostly. I like things that are living. And I also dabble in some watercolor too. So I'm just a creative. I always have been. And so over the years, I've really tried everything to figure out what I like the most. So yeah.
I find oil very challenging. I feel more at home in acrylic, but maybe talk to me a bit about, because I know you use a wet on wet style, and that's even more challenging. So maybe you could talk a little bit about what drew you to oil and, what you love about it.
Yeah. So I thought that question might come up. So I brought a picture with me. So this is who brought me to oil. This is my grandmother, Jerry, and my grandmother is an artist. She taught herself just out of books that she would buy in different stores. And so she never got a formal education, but she and I are very close and very similar, where if we want to learn how to do something, we just grab a book and we just figure it out and we do it. That's actually, I'm not formally trained either. I've done a lot of work in books and workshops, and then just figuring it out over time. YouTube has been a huge benefit for learning as well. So she's the one that got me started. I have a picture here of me. I'm like 9 in her kitchen, and I'm working with oil. I didn't like it when I was 9. It was messy. It took too long to dry. I thought, this is crazy. Why would anybody use this medium? But as I got older, I realized that there's different ways that you can work with it, and the dry time can be used to your advantage. I do work wet into wet, which gives my paintings the really painterly quality and the soft butteriness of the paint that I really love, that I can't get in any other medium. I actually have a very, very hard time with acrylic because it dries so quickly. I'm used to being able to really manipulate the image to get the kind of look that I want. So yeah, does that answer that?
Yeah. So you've been at this for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
And, a lot of people
kind of pick a moment in time, but it seems to me that this is this bond you have with your grandmother.
Yes.
And I think I read somewhere that you still paint together to this day.
Yes, she just turned 94 this week.
Oh, heavens. Okay.
So unfortunately, we've had to stop our paint together sessions. But I still get together with her and I bring my work and we will still cook for each other, sit with each other, pour over art books. She really comes alive when she gets to talk about the work that she's done in the past. So it's a mutual benefit relationship where we can geek out over art together, even if we're not painting together so much anymore. But yeah, we used to set up tandem easels and we would work on the same painting together and I would kind of show her what to do and then she would follow along. And so in the beginning she taught me and then later I taught her. She's been a really wonderful support system for me.
Yeah, what a gift.
Up.
What a gift.
Yeah. It's a very special relationship. We love it. So
yeah. Well, maybe you could talk a bit about the piece in the shallot. It's called Remembrance.
Yes.
And you probably don't have, I saw it's, I'll put it up so people can, whoops,
okay.
Wrong way.
I have it too.
Oh, you have it. Better yet.
It's going to a show today at the Overt Center Gallery. It's going to be up there for a few weeks. So
talk about the piece, talk about why it's Remembrance. And I'm interested in the tattoos. At first, I wondered if this was a self-portrait.
It is.
So, because it looks like you. Maybe talk all about, just tell me about it.
Sure. So I would really quickly like to start with a trigger warning, if I may. I'm going to be talking about pregnancy loss and child loss. So if that is something that our listeners can't listen to, like me, I often need to step away from that topic. Go ahead. But otherwise, if this resonates, I hope it's helpful to hear because this is a topic that is pretty taboo, unsupported, and just it's difficult. So this is a self-portrait. And the reason why I have my tattoos is because my husband and I have experienced 4 pregnancy losses. And even trying to have children for us was extremely difficult. We were unable to get pregnant when we wanted to. I have one son. I was able to get one son, and after him, it was loss. And my husband and I said, that's enough. So he's 10 and he is special needs. He's autistic, on the autistic spectrum. I am doing well with it now, but for maybe the past 5 or 6 years or so, it's been one of the most incredibly painful experiences I've ever had in my life. So I got the tattoos as remembrance pieces, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4 baby rabbits, and I can kind of one here and one here. And they're surrounded by flowers. And I got those pieces to remember those losses and remember those babies that I could not have, that were taken from me, is how I feel about it. I wanted something permanent on my body that nobody could ever take. And I wanted to wear it as a mantle of my love for them, of what I lost, of what I've had to overcome. it's been really devastating for me and my family. So I got those tattoos, and I wanted to do a photo shoot of them to kind of reveal to the world that I've had these pieces done and what they mean. So I live out on the river, and I had my husband come out, and it was very cold. It was November, and I was in a dress that had exposed shoulders. I had a fake fur wrap. But it was freezing. And so my nose was red, my fingers were red, and the wind was just whipping. And it felt good. There was something about the pain of getting tattoos, the pain of being out there on the river, that just all encompassed what that experience for my husband and I were like, as far as trying to have a family and what we've lost. So the wind had whipped my hair up around my face, and it had done these beautiful curled circle shapes. And after he showed me that photo and the sun was setting, I was like, that is so beautiful and powerful. And it's really what I wanted, as far as being able to show off the art that was on my body, and also kind of me and how I was feeling in that moment. So I said, I definitely want to paint that piece. And this piece was difficult to paint technically. I scrapped one earlier that didn't work out, but this one did work out. It took about a year to complete, just because the color and actually painting it was just challenging.
Imagine challenge.
But it's now one of my favorite pieces, and it's now one of my most successful pieces. People really resonate with this one. They're not completely sure why. But yeah, I'm really pleased with how it came out. And it's a forever piece. It's not going anywhere. It's always going to stay in my home with me. And
So
yeah.
I had a child loss.
Okay.
And to remember the due date, you never.
Yes.
I was second trimester.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, and
That's
so
devastating.
I completely.
Yeah. Yes.
I think it's lovely that you did the body art. That never even dawned on me.
Yeah.
That would be a really lovely remembrance, because
Mm-hmm.
I never forget,
Right.
ever.
No.
January 24th stands in time for me.
Yes.
April,
April, August, November, July.
Yeah. I mean, they stand in time.
Yep.
And I think it's hard for people who've not experienced it
Right.
to quite understand what an impact it is for you.
Yes.
But yeah. So, well, I think that's a wonderful piece.
Thank you.
And I thought they were feathers, not a
Oh.
fur. So I actually thought they were feathers. And to me, I liked the idea. It was almost like you were rising.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. From this like feathery nest.
Oh, I love that.
So,
yeah.
And that's what I love about art, is everybody can interpret it a bit different.
Yeah.
And I'll probably think about the piece differently now that I've really heard your story.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting how once we learn the story behind why artwork is created, suddenly it takes on a whole new meaning, and either you can maybe connect with it more or differently or less.
Right.
Yeah, it's just
right.
I love it.
I do love that about art. When did you decide that art was going to be sort of something you pursued?
Oh goodness. I've been, let's see. So that's a good question. in my life, when life got incredibly busy and it felt like I didn't have room for it, I rejected that with my entire body. I had my son, and he was about 4, and motherhood is so consuming. I love it. I love it, but you lose a lot of your autonomy. It's incredibly hard. So it's just as hard as it is rewarding. And so all I was doing was caring for another human for years and not getting enough sleep, and it was just very difficult. And so when all of my free time and autonomy was taken away from me, I went, I have to do something. I have to live my life again. And so I started to do different types of art that could fit in around having a little one. And I had taken a big break from art between college and him. And so when I decided I miss painting, I would like to get back into it again, the internet had exploded with information. I didn't have to go anywhere. I didn't have to pay huge fees. There was just free information on YouTube. And I went 500 miles an hour grabbing all that information that I could, had a fire underneath me, and I haven't stopped since. So I've been consistently painting for 6 years now.
What would you give as advice for someone who was, it's part of their being, but
Yeah.
life caused them to take a right turn or a left turn? And what would
Yeah.
be your advice of ways to approach and bring it back into the fold?
Something really interesting happened to me over the years, and that was when I was making art, but I wasn't really sure what I wanted to make. In a world where you can make anything, what do you want to make? I've found that listening to the quiet voice in your body, if you see other people making a type of artwork and you feel envy or jealousy, I wish I could do that. Just a quiet little voice. Really, really listen to that and use that as a guide, because that's what you really want to be doing. That has really, really helped me navigate when I do have so little time. What do I want to do? I found friends that are doing fantasy illustration, magical, super creative worlds that don't exist. And I went, I wish I could do that. And they were like, you can. And so I'm just starting to go for it. And it feels so right, and it feels really good. So I would just say that inner voice that you have that's so quiet, do listen to it. It will help steer you where you'd like to go creatively, and might help get you back into that world.
Well, that's a really good thought. I think sometimes we tamp those down.
We do, yeah. But starting small is good too. Taking a little sketchbook with you and a pencil. And even in the pickup line for my son at school, I will prop up my sketchbook and my phone on the steering wheel for those 20 minutes, and I'll draw. So just sort of very slowly and consistently fitting it in and piggybacking on habits that you already have. Like in the morning, if you have your coffee and you're doing Wordle, sneak in 15 minutes of sketchbook too. And yeah, you'll find that that's really helpful and informative, I think.
Thank you for that, because I do Wordle.
I do too. Every morning. I love it. It's my routine.
Yeah.
I thrive on routine. So I recommend it.
How did you come to feel comfortable doing living?
Oh boy.
Yeah, both people, because I think it's so challenging.
Oh, Yes.
It's so challenging. And
Yeah.
so how did you come to that?
Started off with animals. Animals I loved. I don't have to nail the likeness on an animal. Just learning how to paint, learning how to do form on animals was really enjoyable. I did that for 4 years. And then I thought I might be ready to try people. I had to be very brave for people. I was scared, absolutely. But yeah, I just worked up to it. And then I've just learned that you just have to be okay with being bad in the beginning. You just have to learn to be okay with it. If you want something, you have to be all right with not being very good at it. And yeah, I painted a lot of bad people. So then I got bullheaded about it and I practiced drawing more. And I got more books about how to construct the human face and what the planes of the face look like. And what's really cool about that is as you go and practice, you see improvement over time, a little bit each day, and you get braver and you can do it. You just have to practice and you have to be all right with uh, putting in the work, I guess. So
Well,
now it's not hard for me. Well, sort of. It's easier now.
well, I love the idea that, and I've heard this from some other artists, that you have to be willing to have something not be great. You don't
Yep.
start out that way.
No.
And in other areas of our life, we understand that. But somehow I think we think that people just are innately talented. I always thought that was singing. And then as I've talked to singers, I did not understand how much training they put their voice through to get where they are.
Yes.
And that natural might have been here, but there's a real growth.
There's this great, I don't know if it's a meme or it's a great illustration of like an iceberg with the water level and all of the iceberg underneath and just the little tippy top poking out. And it says, here's the artwork that you see, that the world sees up here. And here's the rest of it underneath that we don't. And that's very, very true in any creative facility. We don't see all the years of practice and work and struggle. Oh my God, the struggle. It is such a lie that we think that people are innately born with talent or that artwork is magic and it's inaccessible. It's really not. It's science. It's breaking it down. It's process. It's learning process. And I really, if like that's one thing that I can impart on people that are intimidated by artwork, that think I can't do that. You can't do it yet. You can. You just got to break it down and take one bite at a time. And the more that you take those bites and you try and you do micro improvements, the braver and more confident you'll get about being able to get to where you want to be. But it's hard to be patient, and it's hard to be not good at something right off the bat. But
I've been
yeah,
telling myself to be patient for
oh my God, it's hard.
ungodly number of years.
It's so hard. Yeah. And especially when we live in a really instant gratification society.
Yeah.
But I think that's what I like about art making right now is it slows me down and it teaches me patience and it teaches me grit. Because that's not something that I was born with. I've had to learn it for sure.
That's actually wonderful advice.
You can do it from me to you, to any artist. You can do it.
So I often like to ask this question just because I think it's also informative especially for younger folks, is what would you tell a 9-year-old, the one who was painting, like almost looked like you were sleeping on your painting? What would you tell a 9-year-old Kim that you wish you knew now?
Draw from life every day or a little bit, so that if you want to do work that is representational, so not abstract, but actually has a clear subject, draw every day. I was very, very resistant to it, and I am just doing a drawing discipline right now, and I wish that I had the discipline when I was younger to do it every day. But man, I was bullheaded about not having a drawing practice. But if you every day a little bit, it really adds up. Understanding form and light and perspective. Oh man, your artwork will just explode. Like, you really can't paint well if you don't have that strong drawing foundation. It has to be there, because you can put as much pretty paint on top of something, but if your eyes are floating off in different directions, it's not gonna look the way that you want it to. So drawing is super duper important. Yeah, I wish I could go back and tell little me that. And even if I don't want to, you gotta, because I'm doing it now. So
I apologize. Could you hear?
oh, no, I just heard you now.
Okay, that's good, because I put it on mute, but the dog was barking.
Oh,
So sorry about
no,
that.
I didn't hear.
Oh, that's good news. One last thing that I'm wondering is
Okay.
how, especially given you shared with us kind of, the source of a lot of pain for you, how much has your art played in your healing process?
Oh my God. Sorry, I got a little emotional at that question. So I think artists know that art is healing. It's incredibly healing. It's life-changing healing. My body went through a bit of a train wreck becoming a mother. And for me to use creativity as a way to express myself, to feel confident and like I'm actually living my life and I'm growing and I'm learning, and I've been putting my artwork out into the world. Obviously, I'm speaking with you. I just got published. So I'm meeting new people. It's given me my social time back. It's given me a community. Oh my gosh, it's just given me more than I could have ever expected. It's such an incredible gift. And it's also such an amazing way to see the world, having a lens to look at the world around us and try to appreciate natural compositions or the color of light or just the living world around us. Oh my gosh, I can't say enough good things about how much it's helped me enjoy living life again after going through something so devastating. It's really helped me move forward and not be stuck in that place.
Yeah, I think share that insight with the fact that it's really a practice.
Yes.
And so people don't need to think they have to be innately talented. That you can use it as a practice to grow.
Yeah. And artwork doesn't have to be figurative and or representational, and it doesn't have to be perfect. I think what I really enjoy about it is that you can make it what you want it to be. If you would like to just have some quiet, meditative time where you can just check out from the world and do something that's so meditative, it's just so good for the body to be doing something tactile and to escape for a little bit. in doing creative work. So it's very, very important for mental health on multiple levels.
Well, Kim, I really, really enjoyed talking to you, and I look forward to your other endeavors. And it sounds like your painting is going to a gallery here.
Yeah.
So that's exciting.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so this exact painting is going over to Overt Center, and I think it's going to be there for about a month. And if I've got new work coming up, and I have a solo show. I live here in Portage. That's coming up in February, so that's what I'm prepping for. So I've got lots of good things coming up, and I really enjoyed this too. Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah. I really appreciate your willingness to talk more about this piece and me personally and what I'm doing. And yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, Kim.
Yeah.
And we'll talk to you again soon.
Okay, sounds really good.
Thank you for joining us today. It is an honor to talk with these amazing creators. You can see and read the artist's work in the Shallot, our journal of mental health, art, and literature, or on our website, thelayeredonion.com. Thank you.